Good evening and thank you for keeping it KTN. I'm Jesse Rogers. Now, International Women's Day is celebrated annually on March 8th to honor women's achievements, promote gender equality and advocate for women's rights. This year's theme is Give to Gain. Additionally, the UN theme focuses on bridging the gap between legal rights and practical reality, specifically addressing violence and discrimination. As we celebrate the milestones of the Kenyan woman from the boardroom to the cabinet, we cannot ignore the shadows. Two-thirds gender rule remains a stalled constitutional promise. Patriarchal gatekeeping continues to stifle women in active politics, and a harrowing trend of femicide reminds us that for many Kenyan women, the most basic right to life is still under threat. As you observe a day of reflection on the gains made and the gaps that still exist, and a call to action as well, the UN theme for Women's Day is centered on rights, justice, action. Three words that can best define our guest tonight. We're honored to be joined by Senior Counsel Martha Karua, the party leader at the People's Liberation Party, a veteran of the Second Liberation, a primary architect of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and a national leader who has set her sights on the highest office in the land. Martha Karua, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for making time on such a momentous day, and I dare say happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, and once again, thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
I'd like us to begin with perhaps the space, or rather just a general reflection. Since you have been in active politics for decades, you've been in the trenches of Kenyan politics, and we've heard of a common narrative that strong leadership in women is seen as an exception. So as you reflect and look at the Kenya's political landscape today, what exactly would you say in terms of the progress that has been made? Have we been able to break the glass ceiling from your point of view?
I'll begin by saying strong women's leadership is the rule, not the exception. Mm-hmm. If we begin by our households, our mothers, the mothers in your neighborhood, in the community, they're the ones that hold the families, the communities, the world. So women are strong leaders, even though they may be unsung as women in the political space, in leadership and decision making. But otherwise, women are making strides on every space, on every sphere. Whether we have made progress, definitely we have. We have a constitution that acknowledges our humanity. It therefore fosters equality of everyone, of the genders. And it has the two-thirds gender principle, that no gender should occupy appointive or elective positions, in proportions larger than two-thirds, meaning every gender should at least have a third. It's written in black and white, but it has not been practiced. We are nearly there in MCA seats, but not quite there. We're not there in cabinet. We are there now in the Supreme Court, but not in the Court of Appeal. We are there in many spaces, we are absent in others. And our parliament and the leadership, political leadership, has lacked the will to make the not more than two-thirds gender rule a reality by passing appropriate legislation. But if I stop there, I'll also blame the electoral body. We don't need laws to change. The electoral body can use the Bill of Rights that clearly says not more than two-thirds gender rule. Article 27(6). Yeah. And they can give the proportion by looking at the Senate, at the National Assembly, just the same way they do for the county assemblies. They can give the proportions and allocate them to parties in accordance with their rules. Once there is a constitutional command, we can never use the excuse that there is no underpinning legislation, although it is desirable to have such legislation. We have made strides, not in our homes. Gender violence is still being practiced, affecting women disproportionately. There is a small percentage of men who get affected by it, but affecting women disproportionately. In society, the same. We had the incident at the quarry where bodies were being retrieved. 42 bodies of females decapitated. We shall never know whether there were 42 or 100 because the authorities never cared to have the quarry completely searched and water removed to discover where there were some more bodies. If anything, they resisted the work of the volunteers of searching for more bodies. Removed people from the quarry with tear gas, the volunteers. So today we'll never know what happened. We've also seen how during the Gen Z protests, women were affected by gender-based violence, including rape. Today in society, women fear to go anywhere in the hours of darkness because of gender-based violence. In the universities, every so often we'll hear of a girl murdered. So we are not there yet. There are so many things. And in the workplace, are women occupying top positions in their proportion? We are 51%. Why don't we see that in cabinet, in parliament, and in other spaces? The celebration today is also a call to action to both women and men of goodwill. Let us stand up for gender equality. In elective spaces, let us vote for capable women leaders. It is not a must that we have a gender top-up. If enough women are elected, we will not need any top-up. Let us elect capable women leaders, and there are many, and let us stop this thing about top-up. And let men stop asking, like I saw one on Twitter today asking, whether the 47 women seats are of any use and whether they should not be scrapped. My response was, I've wondered whether all the elective seats, most of which are occupied by men, are actually necessary. In other words, if it's a usefulness of the seat, we have men occupying, men who are not making a mark, occupying more seats. But people will only see the 47 occupied by women. A parliament of 316, only 70-something are women. So is parliament serving the purpose? Is the burden just the women's seat, or is the burden of elective seats generally that are not serving the people? So even our thinking needs to change, that we see women as human beings, not as a burden, and we see them as part and parcel and as serious contributors to our economy. In agriculture, it will be women doing the labor there. In the homes, raising the next manpower, raising generations, raising chest-thumping leaders who now question whether women's seats are necessary. Let us hold hands the way we do at home. If your daughter passes, you will sell everything you have to see them through school or college. The same thing you do for the boy child. The way we treat women, especially our sisters, our daughters, our mothers, let us treat every woman that way, because they are part of our society and they are the engine, together with the men, that will propel development. Holding back the women is holding 50% of our human resources, 50% of talent. Talent resides in both men and women.
Indeed. Yeah. It shouldn't be competition. It's more of complementing each other. You've definitely broken down some of the gains, but it's clear that progress still needs to be made in securing the space for women, be it in leadership or even in the society as well. I'd like to begin with Martha's leadership. because you're a trailblazer in your
Yeah.
own right. We have statistics pointing towards 23% of seats in Kenyan parliament being held by women. That's a paltry number. And that's despite the marginal increase in women who are elected in the latest election cycles. We saw an increase in gubernatorial candidates. Some of them successfully won their bids. And I'd like to talk about this, because how do we dismantle the patriarchal gatekeeping that characterizes how our political parties operate in the country, where women, as you've mentioned, are at times relegated to, women representative seats and not competing for major elective seats?
I've seen major parties paying lip service to women, telling women to wait, to give way to their brothers, to be nominated. Even those who have been nominated, the few, it is just through the eye of the needle. If women were nominated in winnable seats means where a party has influence. If ODM, for instance, gave 50% of the gubernatorial seats it had, Azimio had 24. If half had gone to women, those would be 12 governors. UDA had about 20. If they had given 18, actually, if they had given half to women, those would be 9. We would be way past the 1/3 that is recommended. 1/3, by the way, is 34%, because you can't have a percentage of a person.
Yeah.
And also, if you go below 33, if you round it to 32, then you run a fall of the constitutional provision, not more than 2/3. So you round upwards to 34. So deliberate action by political parties can bridge the gender gap in elective positions. In South Africa, it was deliberate policy by the ANC that has seen them almost go to 50-50. The same in Rwanda. The same in UK during the days of Blair. That's where there was this big rush where so many women were elected, then referred to as Blair babes. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but through the deliberate policy by the Labour Party, it saw a surge of women in parliament. And I think it is possible for us as political parties, for us as a country, to adopt the proportional representation, which is what happens in South Africa. They have the zebra, which means you start with, if you start with a woman, the next will be a man, then woman, the man. If you start with a man, the same. So you end up getting close to 50-50. And that way you bridge the gender gap. And for those who think women are seeking favors, far from that. Actually, it's our brothers who've always silently sought and received favors. When parties that have influence or dominance in an area give a nomination ticket, that's equal to being elected. So when men are favored and given those tickets, they're being given the easier option. And women are being nominated where the party has no influence. So how about adopting a 50-50 policy or a zebra policy where both men and women get to enjoy being nominated for seats where parties have influence? So let the women also step up. Why do you remain in parties that oppress you? Either you come together, leverage on your numbers, because no party can win elections without women and youth. Stand up together and force political parties using your numbers to open up to more women and to stop paying lip service. What has happened even for the 47 seats? Parties sometimes ensure that strong women do not come in because they don't want people who question. So through that method, even in nomination, the gender top-up, you will find that not many of the vocal women will come in, trying to moderate so that women who push for women's rights are mainly left out.
Okay.
It's time for us women to see that we have unfinished business. It's up to the men who support women, because men are fathers of daughters, they are our brothers, they are our partners, or husbands if you like. They are our fathers. They are related to the women. Can we do this together and ensure that our daughters and sons, our grandchildren, have equal access to opportunities? That's what this is all about. We grow together. Yeah.
It's not favoritism, and as you've mentioned, it needs deliberate attempts by the powers that be. Less lip service, more actions, as you've said. I'd like to take you back to that crucial component of the Bill of Rights that you mentioned earlier that aims to reduce gender imbalances and ensure fair representation in leadership. Article 27, that mandates the state to ensure that no more than 2/3 of the members of any elective or appointive body are of the same gender. Honorable Karua, 16 years after the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, we've mentioned time and time again, this 2/3 gender rule remains an unfulfilled promise. So what do you make as a legal mind of Parliament's move, perhaps the repeated failure to enact this legislation, even as we realize that there's a certain bill, I think it's the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 2 of 2025, that sort of seeks to address long-standing challenges in ensuring equitable representation and even proposing further changes to Article 90 of the Constitution to promote transparency in how political parties actually prepare their nomination lists, as you mentioned, the zebra approach. Is this the silver bullet that we need to make this 2/3 rule a reality?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Look at the bill and look at what it has. Women are only coming in as a bait to support the bill. That bill has many things, including extending the term of Parliament, that is Senate and the National Assembly, extending the term of the President. So they are seeking to be carried on the backs of women. What on earth is stopping the administration now, Dr. William Ruto's administration, from fulfilling the gender 2/3 requirement? I have already said that the IEBC can actually allocate seats even without us going through Parliament. All the time the bill has come, and it has come during the tenure of Uhuru and Ruto as the deputy. None of them did their best or lifted a finger to get it passed. If I remember the very last time, both Uhuru and Ruto were out in the country inspecting projects, and all of them carried X number of women. So the bill is in Parliament. It didn't pass because of just about 13. The women who were out were enough to make it pass. And these are leaders taking them out on a crucial day. I fought the women, I fought the leaders for their lack of commitment, direct sabotage. And today, Dr. Ruto cannot convince me that he really wants the bill to pass. If you want it to pass, how about bringing that bill of gender 2/3 without anything else? The same way you push an unpalatable finance bill to pass, whatever method you use, why haven't you used it for women? I'm not suggesting the bribery they use, but I know that if he sat his MPs down and said, pass this bill, they will. We had one MP the other day reminding him that you wanted the finance bill, we passed it for you. So MPs are confirming that they are praise choir for the executive. So if the executive really wanted, during Uhuru's tenure and also now during Ruto's tenure, that bill could have passed. But now bringing it, loading it over too many things, the way Uhuruto loaded it with BBI, with many other unpalatable things, and it ultimately failed. Even this one will fail because there's no way Kenyans will allow the extension either of parliament, a parliament that has shown contempt, not just to women, but to the country. The pain of overtaxation, which is disabling payslip holders from being able to serve their families, being able to do critical things, paying for education, paying for health, putting sufficient food on the table. People are losing houses, those who had mortgages. People are losing vehicles, you know. Why would we want to extend time of such a parliament? A parliament that adds the spending of State House when 1 million children are said to be out of school. A parliament that does not allocate enough money for health and that allows a system that has failed people but can allocate money for useless trips they call benchmarking. We don't know what they're benchmarking. I do not think that anybody wants the term extended. So you load on women's issues on that. I, for one, will campaign against the bill, just like we campaigned against BBI. And Ruto campaigned against BBI. So why is he bringing BBI number 2? This is BBI. Good things laced with poison. It's like a glass of milk. Just a quarter teaspoon of poison. It's nutritious milk, but laced with poison, it will kill you. The constitutional amendment bill in Parliament is laced with poison that is bad for Kenyans.
And it waters down on the benefits for women in extension.
It does.
I'd like to talk about an emotive matter, the online violence and what some might refer to as gendered misinformation, which have become tools for silencing female politicians. You yourself have been on the receiving end in terms of the online violence over the years. From where you sit, what specific legislation or action should be taken to prevent such a vice in the digital place or digital space that targets women in leadership?
I think that we don't need more legislation. The legislation we have is sufficient. We just need more awareness. The way online works is just the same way society works. That if you call me a name and the next person online raises and says this is unacceptable, and the third person, if the first 3 people react negatively to the gendered violence online, the rest will follow suit. But if we are practicing mob violence online, that negative comment will set the trend. So what are right-thinking members of society online doing about gendered violence? Very few raise a finger. I think that's the awareness we need. We do not want legislation that will target people the way the Gen Zs were being targeted until 2 days ago when the court nullified the legislation in a system that is showing total intolerance. I would not suggest laws. The laws we have are enough. I would say more awareness so that we do not perpetuate gender-based violence online.
Okay, it needs the society to look within. And we need to take a short break, Martha Karua. When we come back, we'll continue with this conversation on matters to do with International Women's Day as we take stock of the gains that have been made and the challenges that are lying right there in front of our eyes. We've highlighted some of the gains that have been made in terms of women leadership, but a lot still needs to be done to make 2/3 gender rule a reality, even as we enhance the space for women in leadership, especially elective positions. We take a short break. We'll be back in a few. Stay with us.